Seth Rollins is back, and there's new information coming out about those plans. We'll also check out what's new for Jessika Carr, Becky Lynch, and more. Starting things off with Seth Rollins and what just went down there. As everyone expected, Seth Rollins was ultimately revealed as the masked man at Elimination Chamber, but more missing pieces of the story have also been filled out. When the masked man started appearing again at Royal Rumble, and even back with the original Austin Theory unmasking, the popular fan theory everyone was discussing was the idea of Seth Rollins using Austin Theory as his own inside man to take down the Vision from within and get all the intel on their plans. WWE did not go down that exact route, but you could say that they went down a little similar direction. The masked man was unmasked on the February 27th edition of Smackdown by Logan Paul after he tried screwing Logan Paul out of the match. And the individual under the mask was one of Seth Rollins' students from his wrestling school. And then the very next night at Elimination Chamber, we see another masked man get grabbed and unmasked by security, this time being another completely different individual. So it looks like the context clues there are confirming to us, the audience, that there has not been just one single masked man over the last few months. It's been a series of different individuals under the mask, and every single one of them were personally sent over by Seth Rollins himself. So not exactly the Austin Theory spy theory, but Seth basically still had people working for him and handling the job of being the masked man and sending a message to the Vision. And yes, the writing was on the wall the entire time. That's why all the masked men who attacked the Vision in recent months all used the curb stomp. It was Seth Rollins basically signing his work and putting his stamp on the operation. So that's the story behind the masked man and why they were using the curb stomp. They were all sent by Seth Rollins. So we have the answer to the portion of the story, but strangely enough, we don't have the answer to why Austin Theory was using the curb stomp during his time as the masked man. And even after he was unmasked, Austin Theory is still continuing to use the curb stomp as his own finisher. That's the part that we still don't have an explanation for. If all the masked men were delivering curb stomps and were all sent by Seth Rollins, does that still mean there's a chance that Seth still sent Austin Theory? It's hard to tell at this point in the story, but definitely weird that Austin Theory is still using the curb stomp. But after the masked man decoy was taken away by security at Elimination Chamber, this led to the real masked man sneaking into the chamber and costing Logan Paul a chamber match. Logan Paul was tearing it up and had 3 eliminations at the point of the match, making it seem like he was well on his way of winning the whole thing before Seth got involved. Obviously, this was originally not supposed to be Logan Paul in this spot. This was supposed to be Bronson Reed in that exact spot here at Elimination Chamber. Bronson Reed would have been the individual with 3 eliminations, looking like he was going to win until Seth came in and screwed him out of the match. It looks like this story was supposed to be that the masked man that Seth sent on the Raw before Elimination Chamber would have failed at his task and got unmasked, while Bronson Reed ended up qualifying for the match. Bronson Reed would have thought he had a clear path at Elimination Chamber since the masked man was unmasked on Raw, but Seth still would have came out and curb stomped Bronson Reed at the Elimination Chamber. It looks like that's all the fill-ins and the missing pieces to what the original story would have been like. But since Bronson Reed went down with an injury, Logan Paul was basically playing the role of Bronson Reed in that chamber match. So Seth is back, and as expected, his crosshairs are on the Vision. Some fans in the community have been voicing some of their opinions on some of the little plot holes here in this story, such as the fact that Seth Rollins is seeking revenge on the Vision, but he's doing it against Logan Paul and Austin Theory, 2 men who weren't even there at the time and had nothing to do with Seth getting kicked out of the Vision. That is true, but what patches up this plot hole a bit is one of the things that Becky Lynch said after Seth got hurt last fall. Becky Lynch revealed that when Seth got back, he was going to lay a hand on Paul Heyman, how he was just going to lay a hand on whoever was surrounding Paul Heyman. So it's a great little thing that they had Becky Lynch say that line all those months ago, because that's exactly what Seth is doing right now. He's keeping his word about that promise. It was never specifically about the bronze. Seth appeared to be blaming Paul Heyman more for the betrayal. So that's why Seth made it clear from the jump that he would come after anyone that was standing next to Paul Heyman and anyone that Paul Heyman cared about. So it was that line that Becky said to Heyman that's really serving as the saving grace for this story right now. The bronze, the one who did physically part of the betrayal, are not around right now, but the mastermind behind the betrayal, Paul Heyman, is around. So Seth is targeting Logan Paul and Austin Theory since Paul Heyman cares for the both of them very deeply at the moment. That is how the story is going down. Did Seth have anything to do with Austin Theory's Masked Man actions back in November? We do not know for sure, but from the Royal Rumble to the Elimination Chamber, it seemed for certain that all those masked men were sent over by Seth Rollins. Reports are claiming that they're still pushing and trying to get Braun Breaker back in time for WrestleMania 42, and if they're able to get him back, the WrestleMania match will be Seth versus Braun as originally planned. But if Braun Breaker is not able to get cleared in time for WrestleMania, Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins will allegedly be the match for WrestleMania 42, a rematch from their WrestleMania 39 match together. Some fans are even bringing Brock Lesnar into the conversation. If Seth is targeting everyone that Paul Heyman is surrounding himself with, that means that Brock Lesnar is technically in play here as well. Paul Heyman is still managing Brock Lesnar, but there's been no reports or rumors of any kind about Seth versus Brock's matchup, so that does not appear to be something that's on the table. We'll have to see how it plays out, especially with Braun Breaker's recovery, but it's looking like Seth versus Braun or Seth versus Logan Paul will be going down at WrestleMania 42. In recent WWE memory, we've seen a lot of storylines stop and go. A story would get red hot, you think it's going somewhere in the immediate future, you think that a big payoff's coming, but then the angle gets dropped and disappears. Things go radio silent on that story for a long time. You think it was fully canceled, but then suddenly they pick things back up about that forgotten storyline. We've seen quite a lot of that lately, and the most recent example of that is with Becky Lynch and Jessika Carr's storyline. Ever since September 2025, Jessika Carr has been the referee for a lot of Becky's matches, and in every single one of those matches involving Becky Lynch that Jessika has officiated since September 2025, Becky is absolutely winless. That includes the mixed tag team match against AJ Lee and CM Punk, several of the early singles matches against Maxine Dupree, the War Games match, and most recently, the Intercontinental title loss to AJ Lee. That's 6 major matches that Jessika Carr officiated for Becky in recent months, and Becky has a record of 0 wins and 6 losses in those matchups. Both of Becky's recent Intercontinental title losses came with Jessika Carr serving as the referee. Becky has acknowledged this story in many different ways, often calling for Jessica's job and even giving Jessika the award for the most corrupt referee of the year. When they first started building this narrative of Jessika always making sure Becky lost the matches she was officiating, fans thought it was leading towards a Jessika versus Becky match. But then the story cooled off. Other referees started to get involved in Becky's matches, so everyone thought the story was done. But when everyone saw Jessika Carr was a referee for Becky and AJ's match at Elimination Chamber, they knew that was a clear sign that Becky was losing this matchup. So this winless record by Becky in matches officiated by Jessika Carr is not a coincidence at all. It seems like it's on purpose, and it seems like the narrative is back on. The Jessika and Becky story is red hot again. So we'll have to see if it really advances now or if they'll let it cool down again. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.